What's recognized by that certification in the marketplace are things that most of these growers are doing anyway, but they're finally now getting recognition for it.
My name is Madelyn Edlin. I am the Marketing and Sales Manager here at Equitable Food Initiative, EFI. I have the honor and privilege of working closely with today's resident expert and guest, Kevin Boyle. Kevin has been with EFI for about 7 years, and he is the Director of Business Development and New Products, and is responsible for working with farming operations, bringing them along the certification process, and ensuring that each cert is custom tailored to that operation's needs. An expert in his field, Kevin came to EFI with over 30 years of workforce development experience, specifically in the telephone industry, as well as owning his own private consulting company surrounding social change for clients throughout Europe, US, Canada, and South America. Kevin, thanks for hopping on today and answering my burning questions I have about EFI for Fireside Chat number 1.
Thank you, Madelyn. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, we will dive right in question number 1, which is, what type of farming operations should consider an EFI certification?
I think, first of all, we're really focused on the fresh produce industry. So farming operations that are involved in fresh produce, whether it be field operations or greenhouse operations, are certainly candidates for EFI certification. I think one of the commonalities that we're finding after years now being in the business, growing, changing, is that this is more than a certification. That the commonalities we find are businesses that are really recognizing that the challenges that they have in this market,
right?
And they see this as an opportunity to really also begin to improve their business performance. And we try to focus on that. We certainly will certify farms that are interested, but I think it's really comes down to the point of, do you really want to bring change to your operation that hopefully can address the changes that are happening in the marketplace?
Right.
Part of what we try to do is understand that every farm has its own culture. And we really focus on their operation, not just, a commodity operation. And we help to build skills among supervisors and workers that are trying to keep farms in compliance on a day-to-day basis. And once we engage people in working together and identifying issues that are of concern for the workforce, to the supervisors, to management, and ultimately the consumer, there's a framework for them to begin to improve that operation. And so I think it needs to be recognized that it does bring about some culture change within many organizations. Now, organizations that have people at the top, their ownership, are saying, we know we've got to move agriculture into a new place because of technology, because of markets, because of labor, because of environmental challenges that agriculture is being forced with today. So when you can have that kind of leader at the top of a farming organization that recognizes that they have resources that they're probably not fully using in their workforce, it really does bring about change that goes above and beyond a certification.
That's awesome. It's kind of discovery of something you already have, a resource you already own.
And the people are farmers, right? They don't have the time and necessarily the expertise and resource to do some of that development work that many other industrial kinds of industries do. So we can bring that expertise to bear to really help them improve their operations.
It's a coming alongside of the operation, not enforcement, but improving.
Yes. Yep, that's a great point.
All right, question number 2. I have heard in my time with EFI, it described as more than a certification and a one-stop audit shop. Can you elaborate more on what those 2 statements mean?
Yeah, and I think a little bit of history is important in elaborating there. That EFI came about with a number of courageous multi-stakeholder participants who recognized that there was challenges in the agriculture industry. I mean, there was a listeria outbreak of melons in Colorado that really raised, the uh, food safety challenges in agriculture. And we started to get more into certifications of food safety. And then LA Times article about the challenges with people working in agriculture really brought kind of a spotlight to that workforce. And they all have been in their own way trying to work through these issues. But they came together and said, look, we're all doing this. Sometimes we're working in opposition to one another. Sometimes we're working together.
Yeah.
Is there a way that we can create a process that can begin to really recognize the good work that people are doing in this industry, but get it also recognized in the marketplace?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the issues really was there are so many audits that growers are saying we're doing 6, 7, 8 audits a year.
Yeah.
And we said, well, let's put a standard together that deals with food safety, social responsibility, and integrated pest management.
Mm-hmm.
And we had people within the supply chain, from the growers all the way to retailers, with food safety people, consumer people, labor people, pesticide folks, that were experts in their own field. And it took us a number of years to pull this together. But what we said is, can we create a one-stop shop?
Yeah.
Can we come in and do one audit that's going to take care of the expectations of food safety, social responsibility, and integrated pest management? Now, it's been a journey.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of acceptance outside just of our work that needs to be done. The Global Food Safety Institute needs to make sure that you're accredited with their expectation.
Mm-hmm.
Social responsibility, really needs to be depth and breadth of, what do we need to do to make sure that the workplace is a respectful, safe, healthy place to work. And then the recognition that, can there be other ways in which pest management can take place other than just some of the continuous spraying of chemicals? And we don't tell people they can't use this or that, but what we do ask is that start to use different integrated natural pest management systems.
Sure.
To really make the food safer and our environment safer, quite frankly. So that's kind of the one-stop idea, and it looks like, probably we will, in a week or so, be GFSI certified.
Right.
So we will have all the accreditation we need to really pull off that one-stop shop. And our work really is about engaging the employee.
Mm-hmm.
Supervisors and workers working together to kind of continually, on an ongoing basis, assure that the food safety, social, and integrated pest management protocols are aligned, and they work together then to solve and improve that operation, and at the same time live up to the assurances of an EFI certification.
That's awesome. It's really an all-in-one.
And I think what we're finding, and anecdotally, and we're going to be doing some, more quantitative research on this, is that teaching growers, teaching farm workers, teaching support staff to work together around these issues, it really does streamline the audit process, because you're not just waiting for an audit every year, you're
Right.
actually auditing your work every single day.
Yeah.
And with the trained teams that we bring about, they touch the product, they're working in the environment, they're managing within that environment, and it's with that sharing of information and collaboration that it really makes the audit process easier. And then with our one-stop shop approach, hopefully it gives people working in the operation time to farm and not time to prepare for audits, right?
We all know those are time sucks.
Right.
Well, question 3. It's a complex process, but if you can give a brief overview of what a farming operation would expect as they work towards that EFI certification.
Well, I think first of all, it's a show of interest and having a conversation, and we, EFI, understanding the challenges that every grower is going through. And they're not all the same.
Yeah, they're unique.
They're different. So we want to make sure that our approach begins to align more with the culture that the grower wants to begin to create in their operation, and less about our culture of EFI. We really want to be there to consult and support. So that first conversation is really understanding, if is this too much of a lift for people? Do they see benefit in this approach? From there, once that interest is expressed and they're interested to go forward, we have what we call a grower mapping, and it's a information about the operation itself. The workforce makeup, the product makeup, their approach to farming, what's their geography, who are their clients, and what we try to do with that is really identify the uniqueness of every farming operation.
Right.
And try to align our work with how they want to work, not how anyone else expects them to work. So, and that information is used to identify, the context and the personality of a training process that we provide. It's also to help auditors scope the audit, that they're not going to one farm that's maybe creating, growing a particular piece of produce, and then going to the next farm that's growing the same particular piece of produce and treating them the same.
Yeah.
We, EFI, really try to scope the audit to align with the grower themselves, based on the information the grower has given us. From there, we go in, we identify a cross section of employees and supervisors that are pretty much identified by the growing operation and the people themselves, to learn some skills of working together as labor and management, around continually on a daily basis, keeping the growing and packing operation in compliance with the standards. So, we know that this is a seasonal workforce in many cases. It's often a foreign workforce with different languages, different cultures, and in many cases, the education level is limited. So what we really do is we take a popular education approach and really engage the participants in teaching each other what they know in the context of communication skills, in the context of conflict resolution, and then probably most importantly in the context of you can work together to improve the farm. And we teach a 6-step problem-solving model that's been around in other industries for a long time. I think it has names of Six Sigma, Lean, but it really started with Charles Deming in his quality program back in the 1950s. And it's been imported now into the United States, Europe, Asia, and other places. So it's a systemic process of problem solving. I mean, everybody's got a problem on every day.
Yeah.
But we really try to get all the data, teach people to gather all the data from all aspects of a particular situation, come together and collectively identify possible solutions, prepare those solutions, present them to management, identify implementation strategy, and then it's never over. It's just continually improving. If some things work, great, keep them. If not, let's change them. And so that process goes on 365 instead of just an audit once a year. After that training, once you identify that you're ready, we have at this point 2 and possibly this year 3 certification bodies, independent of EFI, that you can identify as your auditor, and growers will be, familiar because they know audits, so they'll be familiar with some of them. Schedule that audit. And after the audit, obviously, every organization has non-compliances. I mean, even our own organization, Madelyn, if people come and audit us, we'd have things we can improve. Once those non-conformances are satisfied, they are presented with a certificate of a 3-year certificate with EFI around food safety, social responsibility, and integrated pest management. From there, they're allowed to use our logo with participating retailers, and they will be paying a premium back to the farm and farm workers for continually looking at keeping that farm in compliance. After 3 years, we do another full audit. If that leadership team we trained is still intact, no need to do a training every 3 years. We certainly are available on a consultancy basis to give refresher courses, develop courses for a broader participation of management, supervisors, and workers. In many cases, what's recognized by that certification in the marketplace are things that most of these growers are doing anyway.
Yeah.
But they're finally now getting recognition for it. And there's some return on that investment to themselves and to the workforce.
That's awesome. So you can dig in as much as you want, and the creating that systemic change internally means that we stay out of your hair, essentially.
Yeah, I would say that's our intent, but I would guess that a lot of growers don't feel that way. That we're in their hair. In fact, one of our growers that came to us early. I mean, he always said, "You guys are a headache. You're a good headache, but you're a headache."
Yeah, as long as we're a good headache, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Yeah.
Well, if somebody's watched this far, they might be interested in taking that first step with us. What do they need to do?
Well, the first step is, let's have a conversation. And, if you're interested, you can you can send an email to info@equitablefood.org.
Yep.
And between you and I, we'll sort those out.
That's right.
And I think at the end of this, you'll have my name, my phone number, and my email.
That is correct.
So just feel free to contact us. And, we're open to, I guess, in some ways, free consultation. You call us. It doesn't mean you have to be committed to us. We want to make sure that we're right for you. And if we're not, that's fine. No harm, no foul. So always reach out to us for more information.
Yeah, always ideas to be exchanged.
That first call is not a commitment.
That's right. That's right. Kevin and I like to talk to people, so reach out. Yeah. Like Kevin said, we will have our contact info on the slide after this if you care to chat more with us in person. Kevin, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk with me. I really appreciate it. Always learn a bunch from you. And thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks, Madelyn.